And we got lots cooking. There's some trade rumors heating up right now in the NBA. Of course, the New York Knicks do not have a pick in this year's draft, but about an hour ago, it was reported, although it's kind of one of those weird kind of fugazi reports that the New York Knicks are now actively talking with the LA Clippers about acquiring Paul George. No players have been named that are part of this potential deal. And we also have no confirmation from the Clippers that they're looking to move Paul George. So,
do you want Paul George?
I do not, actually.
Why? Because he doesn't play basketball?
Because he never plays. And I don't think they're giving you Paul George for nothing. Plus, I don't think Paul George wants to leave California. He's born and raised in California, grew up in Compton, has a home there where he lives in the offseason. And at this stage of his career, why would Paul George want to come to the Knicks?
Because maybe he believes he has a better chance to win with the Knicks than he does with the LA Clippers.
Yeah, but you're talking about a guy that's going to play 50 games if you're lucky, right?
That's the number.
Don't get me wrong. Paul George, when he's healthy, is a top 5, top 10 player in the league.
The problem is, I don't know if I go top 5, but he's definitely top 15, and he's a good player, and he's an upgrade on this roster, but he never plays. I agree with you. And last year, he didn't even play in the postseason. So
the only guy that doesn't play a lot of games that I would take a run at would be Zion. Because I still believe, based on his age and the fact that at some point, and this is based on nothing, I think the kid's going to have to figure out that he does want to be a basketball player, and I'd like to be there for that kind of, discovery, his own personal discovery.
Right.
Outside of that, I really don't have much interest in a 30-plus-year-old guy who plays 50 games.
There are a lot of guys who are going to be rumored to be thrown around in trades over the next few days who kind of fit that model, that they don't play a lot. There's a lot of guys who fit that right now. Karl Anthony Towns is another name you're hearing about.
Guy that changed the game, right?
Does he play a lot? Zach LaVine did last year, but before that, with his knee history, did he play a lot?
No.
I think it comes down to this with a guy like Paul George. I look at it the same way with Lillard and the Nets. If I can get him for a reasonable price, let's go. I'll take the risk. But if I'm giving up a multitude of first-round picks and I'm giving up IQ and I'm giving up R.J. Barrett, I'm probably going to pass. So like a lot of these rumors that everybody's going to sink their teeth into, the cost matters. What I'm giving up matters. I don't think it's a blanket statement of, I don't want Damian Lillard, or I don't want Paul George, or I don't want Karl Anthony Towns. What am I giving up? I just watched Bradley Beal get acquired for nothing.
For nothing. Exactly right. My voice is kind of shot, it seems like, today. I apologize for that. I didn't realize it was shot.
You know what you should do?
Talk less.
You should take tomorrow off.
Well, I mean, I should tell the audience, truth be told, Evan and I are both off tomorrow.
That's right.
A previously scheduled day off. But I didn't realize how bad my voice was. So I'll get through it. No worries, because I'm a professional. That's what I do. Maybe I got another carton here. I'll do some talking, except he knows nothing about sports. So it'll be hard to have him do the show.
Let me defend your son, Anthony.
Thank you.
Anthony Carton sits in my office while you were busy, and he says, I don't know much, but I just have this feeling that Scoot Henderson's going to be drafted number 2.
Yeah, did he tell you why?
Yeah, you want to hear my theory?
What's your theory?
All right. So I did some research because no one names their kid Scoot. His real name's Sterling. Sterling Silver. You know how in the Olympics you either get gold, silver, bronze?
Yes.
What's in between the two?
Silver.
And silver is second place. Second in the NBA draft.
And guess what? Guess who's going number 2 tonight? As first reported by Anthony Carton. Scoot Henderson.
Thank
Good
you
job
very
out of
much.
you.
I mean, that is a report that's out there that's been nothing but a scam show down in Charlotte that they are not drafting Brandon Miller out of Alabama, that they want Scoot Henderson. Also, if you consider the fact that Portland wants no part of Scoot until they get rid of Dame Lillard, if they get rid of him, you'd have a backcourt of LaMelo Ball and Scoot Henderson, which would be pretty damn good.
But didn't that always make the most sense? Like months ago when the rumors started coming out of, they're leaning towards Brandon Miller, we always heard, well, that's a better fit. Better fit? You suck. You need talent. You can't be worrying about who's a better fit. You've got to bring in the best talent.
I mean, listen, I agree 100%.
So for whatever reason, Mitch Kupchak and Michael Jordan, and explain this one to me. So Michael Jordan is selling the Charlotte Hornets, one of the great business moves of all time.
He bought his share for $275 million. He's selling his share for over $3 billion.
Brilliant.
Yes.
So you say what you want about him as an owner. Yeah, they were ineffective. That's a brilliant businessman. All right, he did a hell of a job. He netted a ton of money. Who cares if he doesn't know how to draft? Why does Michael Jordan get to have final say on who they pick at 2 as he's leaving?
Listen, it's a dysfunctional franchise. It's always been a dysfunctional franchise. That being said, I think Scoot Henderson is the rock star of this draft, recognizing that the ceiling, quote unquote, for Wembanyama is off the charts. You know, the last 3 guys, 7'2" or taller, that got drafted first overall, all made the Basketball Hall of Fame. That being said, he's already had the stress fracture of the fibula. He's already had the contusion to wherever it was and missed games. He missed 40 out of his last 70 games a year ago. And while he's obviously a good basketball player, you're asking a 19-year-old kid who's like 200 pounds soaking wet at 7'5" to now be the savior of a franchise. I think Scoot Henderson comes in and is a rock star day one. I think Wembanyama's a project.
He is a project.
Now, you got to draft him. I get it.
Yeah.
Because if he ever comes close to what people are claiming he's going to become, you got to have that guy in your squad. I get it.
Every time I watch highlights, and that's all I've seen of Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah,
I've
me
seen
and you
highlights.
both.
When I watch highlights, all I think about is Bol. And I know that's terrible because what's Bol? He's 7'2", he can shoot, all that. And what is he in the NBA? He averages 8 points, 5 rebounds, and he shoots like 30% from 3. Now, I don't know if Wembanyama's going to be that. I'm sure he'll be a lot better. But he is coming into the league with expectations that are completely unrealistic. He's coming in with expectations of being a top 5 player in the history of the sport.
It's like if he's not Will Chamberlain, he's a disaster, which is so stupid.
Well, but let me ask you this. In the history of the last 20 years, we've had a handful of guys who've come in with incredible hype.
I mean, nobody since LeBron at this level.
Okay, but there have been guys with major hype, and I'll give you a few of them. And you tell me if they've been disappointments.
Go.
Zion Williamson been a disappointment?
Absolutely.
No question, no debate. Anthony Davis.
I think it's been a disappointment.
Now, imagine what you
And
just
I'm
said.
saying-
Imagine what you just said.
I know and they've got him in the top 75 of all
Yes,
time,
yes.
which is another crime. But I think Anthony Davis has been disappointing.
When you look at Anthony Davis's career numbers and his accomplishments, to say that's a disappointment shows you that he came into the league with expectations that were unmatchable.
Yeah, and by the way, my disappointment in Anthony Davis is that he doesn't play every day.
No, I get that.
It's more about that than how he plays.
I'll give you a few other guys. Blake Griffin, disappointment?
Blake Griffin was not on the same level.
No. As a number 1 pick, he came in with very high hype.
Okay.
I'm not saying on the same level with Wembanyama, but very high hype.
All right, so there's 2 things here. Are you asking me based on what I thought a guy was going to become, or are you asking me what kind of the prevailing wisdom was just kind of nationally,
Prevailing wisdom nationally.
Then I think Blake Griffin probably lived up to it.
I disagree. I think to most they look at him and say disappointment.
Well, you think people coast to coast thought Blake Griffin was going to be a generational talent?
Yes, at the time that was the thought.
Wow,
Yes,
I never thought that about him.
Now that's not me thinking it or you thinking it.
Because he's had a good career.
He's had a very good career.
Yeah.
Has John Wall lived up to the hype he had as the number 1?
No, he has not.
He has not.
No. Again, he's had a good career.
I'll give you another one. Karl Anthony Towns. Has he lived up to the hype as a number 1 overall
if you ask
pick?
Karl Anthony Towns, he has changed the way the game is played, and he's a generational talent, but obviously he has not lived up to the hype.
And I'll give you one more, because
Go.
you're noticing a pattern here.
Yeah.
No one lives up to the hype.
Right.
And half of these guys I'm mentioning have had good careers.
Yeah, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with a good 17-year NBA career.
Ben Simmons.
Where you score 20,000 points.
Ben Simmons.
He has not lived up to it.
Now, Ben Simmons has been an all-star.
And
Ben Simmons has had some good years.
And I'll do you one better on Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is arguably the greatest workout video basketball player of the last decade.
Oh, that's great.
Right? Because I just saw, I'm sure you saw it also.
Yes.
They put out a video yesterday. He looks jacked.
Yeah.
He's busting his ass.
Yep.
He's making outside. It's like, what are we talking about?
But think about every guy I mentioned. Every guy I mentioned came in with incredibly high hype, and a lot of them had good NBA careers to very good NBA careers.
Yes.
Yet based on the standards that we thought at the time, they didn't live up to. I'll give you one more.
Go.
Dwight Howard.
Obviously not.
Obviously not.
Obviously
he led a
not.
team to the NBA Finals.
I know. Obviously not.
That just shows you guys are all whack.
I think after year 4, Dwight Howard was a major bust, actually.
So basically, every name I just mentioned to you, we disagreed a little bit on Blake.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Every one of them that came in with this really high hype,
Yeah.
good careers, never lived up to the unfair expectations
I'm going to
they
flip
had.
that on you real quick.
Go.
And I think we're going to agree on this, too. We'll just go real fast. Is Ben Simmons a Hall of Famer on a
No.
Hall of Fame path?
No.
Is John Wall a Hall of Famer?
No.
Is Dwight Howard a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
I think he's on the edge
I
there,
think
but
he
I
is.
think most people probably lean yes because he had some dominant years, to be fair.
I think he was.
I think he's on the border, but yeah, if he made it in, I wouldn't really
Anthony
fight it too
Davis
much.
is a Hall of Famer.
And clearly, because they already got him as a top 75.
Kyrie
right?
Irving is a Hall of Famer.
You didn't bring Kyrie up. But yeah, Kyrie Irving's a Hall of Famer.
Did he live up to his expectations? The reason I'm going to say
he
yes.
did.
I'm going to say yes because they eventually got LeBron back. They won an NBA championship, and even though
Made
they
the
didn't
game-winning
well,
shot, obviously.
Yeah.
Plus, Kyrie Irving, and it's very hard for a lot of people to do, if you separate everything off the court and only look at what he does in between the white lines, you can make the argument there haven't been 10 better guards in the history of the game than him.
No, but he is the exception because when you go through the number one picks over the last 15 years that have come in with higher hype than normal, maybe not on the level of Wembanyama or on the level of LeBron, but very high hype, it's almost universal, even with guys that have had really good careers, that they weren't as good as you thought because they come into the league with expectations that are insane. If your expectation for Victor Wembanyama is Hakeem Olajuwon, I got a spoiler for you.
Yeah, but that's where I think it's unfair. Like I saw a report maybe a week or two ago where someone out there, talking head, so we do the same thing. I don't forget who it was. It doesn't matter. Where like the narrative about Wembanyama is that if his career isn't Kevin Durant's or better, he's a bust.
That's crazy.
And to me, that's so stupid. Like, you could average 24, 15, and 6 and have a great career and not be Kevin Durant. So the expectations on this kid.
Well,
I was talking to Tim Hardaway about it this morning. He's like, you've got LeBron James. Nobody in between LeBron James and Wembanyama had this level of expectations. And then for Tim, which is dating himself, you got to go back to like Moses Malone.
Right.
Like guys like that who you thought were going to be
Craig,
generational talents.
I push back on you because of what you even said about Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis has been to the All-Star game 8 times.
I think he's been a major disappointment.
All defensive. I mean, think about what you're saying.
Yeah. I'd be livid if Anthony Davis played for the Knicks. Livid.
Think about what you said.
I know.
So what did you expect him to be then? You're saying about AD what you're telling people not to say now about Wembanyama. Anthony Davis had a brilliant career with the Pelicans until they moved him. And it sucks that he didn't want to be there.
Right.
And it sucked that after 7 years he said, I'm done. But for the 7 years he was there, he was amazing. And you're saying, and I believe you mean it, disappointment.
A little disappointing. I think, but again, I'm disappointed because he's not available. I don't dispute the fact that he can dominate games, and he did dominate a lot of games, just like up, down, up, down, up, down. So it's a lack of consistency for me. But I will tell you this. We are diehard Knicks fans, many of us here. You're not, obviously. If the New York Knicks made some kind of crazy trade, and I don't know what they're thinking about giving up if the report's even accurate, but if we go after, how old is Paul George now, 33?
33, yeah.
Yeah. If we go after a 33-year-old Paul George, who is never available to play basketball, who invented the concept along with Kawhi Leonard of I'm going to play about 50 games a year and hope to God I'm healthy in the postseason, I don't like it at all. If you go after Zion, I'm down with it. And I respect Paul George's game a lot. I love Paul George's game. I don't want Paul George to be a Knick.
If Paul George is acquired by the Knicks and you're not giving up all of your draft capital that you've
I guess
collected.
that's part of it too, right?
It's
That's fair.
everything,
That's
Craig.
right.
No, it's not part of it. It's everything.
Like, if you said through what I like Paul George as a Knick, you give up nothing to get him, of course I would.
Look what Phoenix gave up for Bradley.
They stink.
Look what they gave up for Bradley Beal. They gave up basically nothing.
Right.
If you got Paul George, and I'm, again, not saying this is going to happen, but I'll throw a hypothetical at you.
Yeah.
Evan Fournier is in the trade.
Evan Fournier and 2 number 2s. I do the trade in a minute.
Toppin is in the trade, who you know you're trading anyway.
Right.
And I can't get over the fact that there's reportedly leaked audio of the Toppin Thibodeau fight. It's got to be BS.
I agree 100%, but I did listen to it.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
I listened to it 10 times. But if you're trading Evan Fournier, Obi Toppin, and let's say 1 first-round pick, and they've got a few. They've got one from Milwaukee. They've got one from Washington. And they've got their own. If that's what you're giving up for Paul George, you'd be nuts not to make that
I take him, but I don't. But again, the silly reports out there, but I have no idea who the Knicks are looking to get rid of.
But that's the key to everything.
Of course,
if
I give up Obi Toppin and 2 number 2s, or Obi Toppin and a protected one that I'm probably never going to see anyway. Yeah, I'll go get Paul George right now.
And the circumstances are very different. I acknowledge that, and I don't think the Clippers are going to trade him. I want to make that clear. I don't think they're dealing him at all. But when we talk about would I trade for this guy, would I trade for that guy, dude, it's all about what you're giving up.
Of course. And listen, Paul George doesn't have a no-trade clause. If you trade him, he's got to go.
Bradley Beal had the full no trade, but
He's the only one,
But
right.
what Phoenix gave up for Bradley Beal, you would gladly give up,
Evan,
for Paul George.
The Washington Wizards gave up Bradley Beal and Porzingis, and I know we have a different feeling about Porzingis than a lot of cities do. For what? They got, the 35th pick in the draft for those two guys? Something like that, right? Like, it's crazy.
They did not get, especially on Beal. Porzingis is a different story. They didn't get the return they should have
I guess they
gotten.
got Tyus Jones back.
Oh, they're going to flip.
They have to flip, right?
They're going to flip to my team.
Or maybe they will.
Oh, I'd love Tyus Jones on the
Yeah,
Nets.
we got the NBA draft tonight. Obviously, you got a lot of baseball. The New York Yankees take care of business again. That's 2 in a row, Big Mac. 2 in a row for the Yanks over Seattle. 4-2 last night, I think was the final score. The New York Mets, of course, turned the day yesterday. Caved every single time they got back in the game. And now you get to relax and enjoy another subpar season out of the New York Mets. And I guess the question I have for you, and I think we can do this with both franchises right now. We'll play a little game, okay? The name of the game is one. All right, now follow along. What's the name of the game?
One.
You can make one change. And that change has to be a change that you know in your heart or think in your heart automatically changes the direction of the franchise, makes it better. What is the one change you make?
That's easy. I change out Tyler McGill for Shohei Ohtani. Done.
No, it's got to be a change you can make.
Oh. I thought it was a magical change.
Now, what's the one change you make
I'm
that you
afraid,
think turns everything around?
and I think this is what is so frustrating and sad about where the Mets are.
Yeah.
There is no one change.
Right.
Now, I know that you want to fire Jeremy Hefner because it'll make us all feel better. Okay. You want to fire Billy Epler because it'll make us all feel better. Okay. You want to fire Buck Showalter. You want to call up Ronnie Mauricio. You want to DFA this guy, a DFA that guy. The Met troubles are so deep that it is naive to think one change can fix everything.
All right, so that game's over. Big Mac, you can make one change on the Yankees. What's that change going to be?
Fixing a big toe.
Fixing a big toe. I'm with you, not getting Aaron Judge back in the lineup.
That's not fair because that ain't realistic either.
Okay, I've got.
What are you just giving him a robo toe?
I've
Get
got the
Judge
answer
back.
for you. Obviously, getting Judge back is key, but I've got the answer for you.
Get Rodon back.
No, it's so
No?
much. It's so much more obvious than that.
Get rid of Donaldson and bring in a third baseman.
No, it's so much more obvious than that. There is an unfortunate disconnect right now in the moment between your owner and you. Obviously, Hal Steinbrenner yesterday in a radio or TV interview, whatever it was, came out and said, but I'm paraphrasing here, I'm confused by the fans being upset right now.
Big Mac agrees with him.
Okay, here's a third-place baseball team behind the Baltimore Orioles and the Tampa Bay Rays, who, yes, they're now 8 games over 500 again. Yes, they're littered with injuries from top to bottom, who have not been to a World Series since 2009, and the owner of the franchise does not understand why you people are upset with the current state of the New York Yankees. That is a bad disconnect and one that's got to be fixed immediately. Because if he doesn't understand, he doesn't know how to fix it. And that's a problem, I think, for most Yankee fans.
Yeah, listen, I don't think he should have said it, but I think his point is because he recognized the overall frustration with not winning over the last handful of years. He understands why Yankee fans are aggravated overall. I think his point was with this team right now, for where they are without Judge, with all the injuries, he's surprised that the vitriol has gotten to such a level that they think this team, this particular year, is already doomed. And I think that's for a guy who understands the fan base doesn't care about June because last year June was phenomenal. Does anybody care when they lost when they got swept by the Astros? Does anybody go, well, at least we had a good June? Like nobody cares about June.
There's also another problem with you. You can't say I don't understand the way the fans are feeling, and also acknowledge to the fans that you never listen to them. That you don't listen to talk radio, you don't watch the TV, you don't read the newspaper columns, you don't live in New York. To me, you can't have that level of disconnect and then claim I don't understand.
How do fans speak? They speak with their wallet. The Yankees are drawing 41,000 people every single night. So what Hal Steinbrenner sees and feels is high TV ratings, which they have.
Yep, they do.
And huge attendance figures, which they have.
Yeah.
So while Yankee fans look at this team and they don't believe they're going to win a World Series, they don't believe it. I ask most Yankee fans, I don't think they're going to win a World Series. how the businessman sees dollar signs. He sees Yankee fans walking into the stadium. Now, last night, they watched the victory, and they booed the crap out of Josh Donaldson.
Right.
So you can hear that they don't like him or trust him or think that his 138 batting average is going to change. But owners sometimes see and feel the pocketbook.
Sure.
And right now, the Yankees are going through a boom. Dude, 41,000 on a Wednesday night against the Seattle Mariners with your biggest star on the shelf.
That's pretty good. I mean, you got to give Yankee fans credit. They might be pissed off, but they keep showing up to watch them play. Yeah. So I wish there was not this disconnect, or maybe I'm wrong. What sounded like a disconnect between the owner, who graciously spoke for about 45 minutes yesterday and answered every question. I'll give him credit for that. I heard a lot of it, and he did not shy away from it. And actually, for a guy that's not the most outgoing personality, seemed very amped up to talk about the New York Yankees. Yeah. And the comparisons between him and his dad and all that stuff as well. And the one thing that stuck out to me was, you don't live here full time. It's your right, obviously. You don't read the papers. You don't listen to the talk shows, et cetera, et cetera. But you're surprised why the Yankee fan isn't thrilled. That, to me, is a bit of a disconnect. Yeah. And I think we got to repair that.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but you just said that's the one thing that stuck out to you, and that's why I have a problem a lot with Yankee fans and different things, because I listened to that interview, and while I didn't like that answer, and I understand your point, I thought there was something in that interview that stuck out to me way more that we're not focused on.
What's that?
The fact of the matter is, for the first time, and he didn't say it with very, very strong wording, but for the first time that I can remember, he literally told you, I am going to have a problem with Brian Cashman if the team doesn't play the way I expect it to. He was asked directly.
Well, he said we have to make the playoffs.
He was asked about what happens if you don't make the playoffs. And then he said, if the team is pretty much healthy and we don't even do well in the playoffs, I'm going to have some tough questions to ask. And if we don't make the playoffs, forget about it. I'm going to have real tough questions to ask.
Well, the problem, though, asking
I know
tough
we don't
questions.
believe it. I know we don't believe it, but never has he put into
it.
words the idea of his possible displeasure.
Here's the problem with all this. All right, number one, the Yankees always make the playoffs. And if they don't make the playoffs, you think the anger over the last few years will be loud. Right. It'll be 10 times louder. B, the injury thing bothers me. I don't want to hear about injuries. And most Yankee fans, I'm not even going to say you, because I know you kiss the ring most of the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No one wants to hear about injuries. Like DJ LeMahieu sucks. We have to hear about, well, he's hurt.
No.
We have to hear about that. The Yankees have struggled with Aaron Judge out. We have to hear that as an excuse when Donaldson and Rizzo have done nothing. When guys who are paid to perform have done nothing. So right now, when the Yankees struggling despite the last 2 days, and they've done it with their pitching, let's be honest, they've overcome it. But we would hear the excuse of, well, Aaron Judge was hurt. Nobody wants to hear that. If the Yankees get knocked out in the postseason, but there's a few unhealthy players, well, last year Benintendi was out. Do you want that excuse?
No, I get you. But he said.
So then, what does that even mean?
Well, he said because the core of the team, And by the way, right now they've played most of the year without the one starting pitcher they added to make a difference. Well, that's what he's talking about.
No, but I'm talking about last year.
Who's talking about last year?
He said to you, "This is when I'll start asking hard questions." Which doesn't even mean he's going to fire anybody.
No, true.
It just means, I'm going to ask a tough question. First of all, that's irresponsible. We should ask tough questions every year.
Obviously.
Why would you not ask a tough question last year?
Right.
There were no tough questions after you got embarrassed by the Astros?
Of course.
Oh, so there were no tough questions last year. So what you're excited about is the owner.
Not excited. I'm saying that was more. He's never even broached the subject of having a problem with Brian Cashman.
I'm going to ask.
No, it's more of a big deal.
Okay. He didn't ask tough questions when you got embarrassed by the Red Sox in a wild card game.
He should have.
That's my point to you. Yet you're
but
saying,
he didn't. But he didn't. You want to go back 2 years and say what he should have done. I agree with you. The idea that tough questions haven't been asked the last 2 years.
Are we talking about?
Now he's finally openly acknowledging that that's going to change. Isn't that what we're looking for? Aren't you upset that there weren't tough questions asked? That's the whole point. The whole point was we didn't get those tough questions. For the first time, he's acknowledging, here they come.
I'm upset that now it would take that to even ask a tough question.
That's fine, but at least
that's embarrassing.
Yeah, but he's never even broached that subject. He's never come close.
Who cares? That's pathetic. I didn't ask a tough question.
No, we all agree it's pathetic. We all agree.
You agree with that?
I agree that there should have been tough questions asked.
So that answer is pathetic then. You agree with that?
Yeah, I'm not.
Thank you. Okay,
it's at the point where it's desperately needed and what we should be more upset about, whether or not he cares about our collective anger in June.
No, I know,
when we
but-
won't care about June the second it's over.
I know, but you're telling me you're excited that the owner's going to
Not
finally
excited.
ask a tough question when tough questions should have been asked after 20,
Right.
after 21,
Right.
and after 22.
Correct.
But guess what, guys? If there's no injuries,
Well,
because
what's-
remember, if there are injuries, no tough questions.
Well-
if there are no injuries and we don't win, I'm going to bring Brian in a room and ask him a tough question.
What's the problem?
Grrr.
What's the problem?
That's pathetic.
What do the most Yankee fans have a problem with? The idea that those questions haven't been asked, that he's not on Brian
You think
Cashman.
Yankee
Do you
fans-
think he's more concerned that at home or whatever he's
You think
unaware of what the Yankee fans are feeling?
Want tough questions? No, they want people fired.
Well, I mean, I think that's his way
What
of
do you
putting
do
it.
around
As he's
here?
not going to tell you I'm going to fire him, but that's his way of
I
saying.
never suggested he was ever going to say that.
Yeah.
But for that to be the big step,
I think
and with
it's
caveats
bigger.
too,
It's
by the way,
bigger
Craig,
than when.
big caveats. I'll ask the tough questions if there are injuries and we lose, and
If they're
I'm gonna say to Brian with a mean face, what happened? Grrr.
I'm thinking maybe we should have gone Big Mac in heaven moving forward.
I was going to say I thought he already got a full-time job. He didn't have to audition anymore. My goodness.
Wow.
My
Let
God.
me tell you
He was
something.
pretty
I'm
quiet.
passionate about this subject.
He was pretty quiet during the
Yeah.
Nick talk, though. I heard that.
It's funny.
Oh, there we
This,
go.
Wow.
I wasn't
rela-
asked.
This
Oh, it's over.
relationship that you're looking at over there.
Oh, it's
with
dead.
him,
It's dead.
That
Yeah.
relationship
Thank
is
you.
gone.
It's gone.
Can't-
It's beyond
I
us.
mean,
The second the new show starts.
Second, July
God bless.
24th, these two guys never talk to each other ever again.
I'm not
Never.
going to be crying like Bilotti, that's for
I
sure.
can tell you that right now.
No tears will be shed.
He'll be doing overnights. Tommy will no longer exist in his world.
That's it.
I'd be surprised if even to acknowledge each other walking down the hallways.
Oh, it's bad.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Ugly.
Yeah, and you can tell because the sniping at each other or the snipping, whatever you
Yeah,
call it,
that's all right.
has taken a new level.
Well, let's be totally honest. You've bred that kind of environment here, but that's okay.
That's also fair.
I love it.
Well,
I love
exactly.
it. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
Like I told the guys this morning, nobody will ever leave this studio feeling good about themselves. And they're like, what are you talking
And
about?
you
I'm
weren't
like, trust me
lying.
on that. All right, 877-337-6666. Carton and Roberts on the fan. Look, they're arguing still. Off air, hands waving, arguing offline. Oh, I think it's fantastic. We have really created some monster here where these two guys cannot help it. The lack of respect for one another has reached an all new level.
I think
And
respect's
love it.
strong. I respect
I love
them.
it. You guys will never speak to each other ever again.
What do you think started it? Do you think it started with Loogie stealing Big Mac's bridge shows? You think that's what really kind of
No,
started
I
the
think what
issues?
started it was it's one thing when you do a couple bridge shows, he does a couple bridge shows, but they were critical of each other's shows. Like Big Mac was like, stop your whining about the Mets and stop saying dude and whatever it was with the Knicks.
Yeah,
and then
damage.
there's Tommy going, all you do is kiss Cashman's ass. It was back and forth, and now it's dead. And I love it. Makes me so happy.
I'm glad.
Makes me so happy. Now, I got to make an executive decision. Should I play the Michael K. audio from his New York Post interview or not? You think I should play it?
What's the audio?
Where he acknowledges
Is it interesting?
that the Michael K. show got their asses kicked by me and you for the last couple of years. Because he's upset with the manner in which I treated him.
Oh, yeah, I read that. I read
But,
that you were very nasty to him.
But the point is,
Why were you so nasty to him?
But I wasn't. The problem is that the name of the show is the Michael K. Show. So if I'm making fun of the show, sometimes it may come across like I'm making fun of him. I've got no ill will towards
You're a
him.
nasty man.
I mean, we dominated the show for 2.5 years.
But he acknowledged that.
But he acknowledges that,
That's
which I
good.
love. I love. Maybe I'll call him after the show.
Wait,
Maybe I'll
you guys going
call
to
him.
become friends now?
Well, I started sending him a text yesterday. And then I was like, what am I sending him a text
Yeah,
message?
why would you send him a
So
text?
then I went online. I started writing out a tweet yesterday. And I'm like, what am I tweeting for?
Yeah, in fairness,
So I
like,
stopped both.
I don't mean to call
Yeah.
you out on anything, but you
Yeah.
have pretty much said he's a terrible broadcaster.
I
have you
never
not?
said that.
You haven't said that?
I said it.
You've
I
hinted
said
that
it's a bad
Yes should
show.
make. No.
Yeah.
You've hinted that Yes should make changes with their TV broadcast.
Well, they should, which is why Yes has called me 3 times to talk about the possible availability of Carton and Roberts for Yes. Sorry. Now, we are very happy, are we, at SNY. So we never engaged in that conversation. But I can tell you as a fact, Yes is not thrilled with that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was the play-by-play
But
that you mocked.
I don't think it's him so much as I think it's that little weasel that works with him.
Gotcha.
Who's gotten his ass kicked in every day part he's ever worked in. Yeah. Because he's a little weasel.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's why.
What about all the
That's
issues you had with the play-by-play, though? You keep ignoring that
Not a
because you
fan
did
of the
mention
play-
that.
Not a fan of the
There you go.
play-by-play.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, but yeah, so I do appreciate the acknowledgement that we have kicked their asses for a very, very long time. And as I leave here, I will leave here with the belt. And I will reference that frequently in my future life that I have the belt. And I ain't giving it up. That's how that goes. And I hope that Evan and Tiki keep the belt upon my departure.
Which belt are we using? The big gold belt?
Well, I'm taking it home.
Yeah, but which belt?
The WWE style belt.
Yeah, but which one? But you know nothing. Is it the big gold belt?
No, the
Is it the
Intercontinental
blue-
Championship
Oh, you're going
belt.
to walk away with the Intercontinental title?
I want to have the
That's
Intercontinental.
fine. We'll get-
Is that's the belt I want? Is that a good
Okay,
one?
no, it's a great belt.
Yeah,
you
I'll
should
take
enjoy that one.
I can take the Intercontinental
You
Championship
definitely have
belt.
to take the ones from the early 90s, though. That was the best one.
Yeah?
The best IC
What
title.
was that one called?
No, it was the Intercontinental title,
Yeah,
but
I'll
they
take that one, too.
changed like the logos of it.
Yeah, I want
Yeah, you get
I just
that
want
one.
Hulk Hogan's belt.
Oh, Hogan never had the Intercontinental
What
title.
belt did he have?
Winged Eagle.
Let's
Excuse
make
me?
our own belt.
Winged Eagle.
Winged Eagle. Prettiest WWF title ever.
I'll take that belt.
You want that one?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the gift I should buy you. Forget the ball of cheese. A Winged Eagle WWF ratings title belt.
Done. I'll take it.
That's a good gift.
By the way, I was told by the Pulse of the People committee that next Friday on our last show, the winner of the Pulse of the People will be announced live somewhere around 5 o'clock right here on WFAN Friday, June 30th. The announcement will be made, and we are down to 4. It's Stu Feiner, the reigning champion, myself, Aaron Boone, and
Jalen Brunson.
no, he got eliminated.
He got eliminated? Oh,
Yeah,
Joe Douglas.
Joe Douglas, the guy that brought us Aaron Rodgers, the guy that's the best Yankee manager in their history, myself, and Stu Feiner. We are the final 4 for this year's Pulse of the People Award. Very interesting.
I'm on Team Boone.
Excuse me?
I told you I'm on Team Boone.
You would be.
I think Boone's had a great year really handling the pulse of the people.